This Friday on Beyond the Gates, we'll be introduced to the Chief of Staff at Garland Memorial Hospital, Cecilia Specht, as Dr. Leah Whitmore. Spoilers for the February 13th episode also focus on Donnie's return, but it comes with more than a little bad luck. Below is a recap of what you can expect. Key points to remember. Dr. Leah Whitmore makes a striking debut at Garland Memorial Hospital. Donnie's first public return is shaken by unexpected turmoil. Family ties grow even stronger as Anita and Vernon guide the next generation. Chaos comes rushing back like a deliberate whirlpool, as if Fairmont Crest has never truly allowed anyone to step out from its shadow without paying a price. Donnie is used to life throwing her into ruthless crossroads, but this time is different because the cruelty isn't delivered by some vague, faceless fate. It comes from people, from hands that choose to shove her down at the precise moment she has just managed to stand tall again. She discovers she carries the BRCA gene, a cold symbol on medical paperwork that still becomes an invisible blade carving into her will to live. Then her mother, Anita, fights breast cancer in a long, grinding war that turns every breath in the house into an alarm bell. Donnie hasn't even had time to adapt to fear before she realizes something even more terrifying. There are people in her world who are waiting for the second she weakens so they can turn it into entertainment. And yet, in the middle of the ruins, Donnie still finds something like light, fragile, but real, Andre. They draw closer, understand each other more deeply, as if every time life tightens its grip around Donnie's throat. Andre is the only one calm enough to place a hand on her shoulder and remind her she hasn't lost. And then an opportunity she thought had died decades ago arrives, a modeling invitation for a new fashion line. A chance for Donnie to return to the place she once belonged before she had to fold her dream into a drawer for her husband's family, for expectations and compromises that eroded her year after year. For the first time in a long while, Donnie sees a future she once forbade herself from imagining. She could have it all of identity, the right to live as herself without asking permission from anyone. But that all also makes her a target. When a woman who was once forced to disappear suddenly comes back and shines, people don't just look at her with curiosity, they look with hostility. With the irritation of those who are used to controlling the story and hate seeing someone else rewrite the ending. That first fashion launch isn't just a career event, it's a declaration. Donnie is back. She prepares as if she's walking into a battlefield. The outfit fits her perfectly. The makeup is delicate like a strategic mask, her gaze trained not to tremble. But Donnie knows the most dangerous thing isn't the spotlight or the commentary, it's the perfectly timed leak, a needle driven straight into her weak point and twisted until it aches. And sure enough, a malicious reporter appears like a trap that's been waiting all along. Donnie can smell the mud in the wording before the attack even lands. This isn't accidental questioning, it's hunting. Dig up the past, force the present into defense, turn a moment of rebirth into a public trial. If news that Donnie carries the BRCA gene leaks right before she takes the stage, it won't remain health information, it will be warped into a story about weakness, risk, family drama, as if Donnie is using illness as a tool to attract attention. Donnie knows the media can turn anything into a cage, and this time the cage is gilded with hypocritical, moralizing language. She feels anger flare hot inside her, but at the same time a cold current slides down her spine, the fear that she will be defined by a gene she never chose. She has fought her entire life not to be packaged into a box yet now. Just a few leaked lines could lock her into the destiny society prefers to see. The woman who is both fragile and a nuisance. Donnie is strong, but strength doesn't mean she has no vulnerabilities. Donnie's weakness isn't illness. Her weakness is the fragile belief that this time, she might be allowed to be happy without paying for it with her dignity. When the reporter pleads dirty and throws out a loaded insinuation, Donnie doesn't just hear the words, she hears the mockery of her past, hears every moment she was pushed aside, treated like an accessory. She wonders if this person has a personal grudge, and the answer almost forms in that predatory stare. Maybe there was an incident buried in Donnie's professional history, a rivalry, a moment when Donnie spoke up and cost someone an opportunity. Or simply a time when Donnie stood on the right side of an old scandal and the other person never forgot. In this world, people don't need a noble reason to hate. A wounded ego is enough to feed resentment for years. The more Donnie thinks, the clearer it becomes that this isn't a minor setback. This is a trap placed at the exact moment she stands on the threshold of her comeback. If she reacts too strongly, they'll label her unstable. If she stays silent, they'll call her deceptive. Donnie is forced into a toxic choice: defend herself and reveal her anger, or swallow the anger to protect her image while losing a piece of her soul. In the middle of it all, Andre stands nearby, yet the distance between them becomes strangely complicated. He says he supports her. He shows support, but in Donnie's eyes there is a doubt she hates admitting. Does Andre truly want her to shine? Or does he only want her to shine as long as he remains the center? Donnie hates that suspicion because it makes her feel like the distrustful people she once despised. But she also can't deny the feeling that Andre is being pushed to the margins of her new life. When Donnie talks about the runway, rehearsals, contracts, and image strategy, Andre sometimes stays quiet longer than he needs to. That silence isn't open resistance, it's the silence of someone wondering whether there is still a place for him. Donnie needs Andre as an anchor, yet she hates needing anyone that much. She stands between two fires: anger at the world for trying to drown her, and anger at herself for still fearing abandonment. Andre has his own anger to anger that he can't shield Donnie from, the media anger that Donnie's return forces him to face the truth that she might soar without him. In the darkest corner of his mind, Andre may even consider stepping back so Donnie can prove herself alone, but the thought curdles instantly into guilt. He loves Donnie, but love sometimes carries the terror of being replaced. And if that terror is never named, it turns into control war, into selfish choices disguised as "I'm doing this for you." At the same time, Anita continues fighting cancer like an old soldier who refuses pity. She hates the way people look at her like a patient who needs to be carried. She wants purpose, wants to control something at a time when her body feels like betrayal. That's why she throws herself into the cotillion, not merely to host a glittering event, but to prove she is still the pillar, still the one who keeps the family's rhythm. Every time she helps Samantha and Jessica prepare, Anita glows as if that light could burn the tumor away. But strong women often deceive themselves with busyness, and Anita is no exception. She ignores the warning signs of exhaustion, ignores the dull ache, convinces herself that if the gala succeeds, everything will be fine. That's how Anita survives, turning fear into responsibility. But Fairmont Crest never lets joy stay still. The cotillion becomes a place where every nerve is drawn tight like a violin string. Drama between the daughters could explode at any moment because each one carries her own private war, and each one wants their mother to truly see her. Nicole and Donnie both need Anita's reassurance, as if a mother's love is the last medicine against chaos. But Anita is only human, and her body could betray her at the worst possible time when the crowd is biggest, the stage brightest. If Anita collapses right there at the ball, the painful question won't be who catches her, it will be who stays. Who will forget pride, forget the watching eyes, forget the carefully staged program, and truly take her hand. The person Anita trusts most will be revealed in that moment, and the truth could be cruel to those who always assumed they were the favorite. And as if the universe wants to test Donnie's limits, another truth could drop like a boulder. Naomi also carries the BRCA gene and has been hiding it. Donnie has lived with hereditary fear like a ghost. If she learns her daughter carries it too, her anger won't be directed only at the illness. She will be furious with Naomi for keeping it secret, furious at being shut out, furious at the feeling of betrayal in the most private part of her life. But that rage will be pulled backward by a painful contradiction. If Naomi hid it because she feared it would break Anita emotionally, because she worried it would affect Anita's treatment, then it becomes a clumsy sacrifice born from love. Donnie would be trapped between two instincts: the mother who wants to hold her child and protect her, and the woman who has just been attacked by the media and squeezed by life until she can't endure one more secret. Donnie will ask herself why everyone keeps deciding for her. keeps hiding truths for her own good, when the hiding is exactly what makes her lose control. Donnie gave up her career for family, gave up her voice for harmony, and now that she wants her life back, she is surrounded by secrets, as if family itself is a polite prison. Elsewhere, Vernon spends time with Cott, and it isn't peace, it's a confrontation between fiery temperament and cold, seasoned wisdom. Cott is furious, as if rage is the only armor she has left. She cannot forgive, cannot accept Eva stepping into the family's life, and everyone keeps telling her to let go. But people often treat forgiveness like a moral virtue, while for Cott, forgiveness feels like surrender. She has been hurt too deeply, perhaps by Eva and Leslie, perhaps by the way she feels dismissed, pushed out of the family's story. Cott clashes with Chelsea after hearing about Copenhagen, explodes at her mother over dating two men at once, as if every instability around her triggers her deepest fear, that the family is unraveling and she doesn't have the power to hold it together. Vernon sees it, and he may strike at the question Cott fears most. Does Cott truly hate Eva for who she is, or because Eva knows a painful secret Cott has never dared to admit? Some secrets aren't tabloid scandals. They are secrets about the self, about a moment of weakness, a mistake, a buried feeling. If Eva touches that nerve, Cott will hate her not because Eva is wicked, but because Eva makes Cott feel exposed. And if that's true, Cott's anger is survival, attack before being revealed. Vernon doesn't need to raise his voice. He only has to ask the right question. And Cott will feel as if her armor is being stripped away in front of the one person in the family who can see through her without fearing her fury. While the Dupree household shakes under illness, secrets, and pride, another thread of conspiracy keeps crawling forward. Dirty, steady, relentless, Lynette. She gets what she wants from Bill and Haley, but what she wants never stops at one goal. A con artist like Lynette doesn't live off money. She lives off the sensation of controlling people, the pleasure of watching them destroy their own principles. Haley convinces Bill to represent Lynette for free as an act of doing the right thing, but the moment Bill agrees, Lynette wins at a deeper level. She makes Bill place his goodness on the table like a knife that can be snatched and turned against him at any time. A staged robbery, calculated panic, and Haley's engagement ring becomes the perfect bait. If Lynette gets the ring, it may be a trophy, but more importantly, it's leverage. A ring is never just an object, it's a promise, an image, a love story Haley wants all of Fairmont Crest to admire. If the ring disappears in a robbery, Haley becomes a victim. But if there's even a hint Haley helped orchestrate it to test Bill, then Haley is no longer a victim, she's an accomplice in a power game. And Bill, a man who's used to believing he controls everything, will realize he's being dragged into a maze where every generous decision can become evidence against him. Lynette may have proof that could destroy Bill. It could be a document linked to an old case, a shadowy agreement, money that doesn't exist in the books, or a moment when Bill crossed an ethical line for ambition. Lynette doesn't need the whole truth. She only needs enough pieces to build a story people will believe. She might want money, power, or revenge, but the most frightening possibility is that she wants all three: money to buy silence, power to force others to bow, and revenge to soothe an ego that was once dismissed. If Lynette is aiming at Bill, it means she sees him as a symbol of a system that once crushed her, as a man she wants to prove can be manipulated like anyone else. Bill will be furious, but fury will push him toward dangerous choices. He might try to bury Lynette through legal power, pressure Haley into confession, or throw money at the problem. Every option carries a cost. If he uses money, he admits fear. If he uses the law, he risks his own mistakes being turned against him. If he doubts Haley, he shatters the relationship he's fighting to preserve. And when every storyline braids into the next, Fairmont Crest becomes a chessboard where women are forced to be strong while men fear losing power, where love is tested by suspicion, where illness is turned into sensational headlines, where family hides things for each other and accidentally wounds each other with secrets. Johnny stands at the center of the storm, surrounded by the media, strangled by hereditary fear. shaken by the possibility Naomi also carries BRCA. Rattled by a relationship with Andre vibrating under feelings neither of them wants to name, and pulled back toward family by Anita at the exact moment she has finally touched something personal. Donnie might get through this obstacle like a small slip on the runway, or that slip might become the crack that collapses her comeback entirely. The real question isn't whether Donnie is strong enough. It's what kind of strength she chooses. Strength that fights openly and accepts being hated. Or strength that stays silent to survive and accepts being distorted. And in the moment Donnie looks to Anita for reassurance, she may recognize the most terrifying truth of all. The mother she relies on is weakening too, and this time, if Donnie falls, there may be no one left strong enough to lift her back up.